Chapter 784. This time, there were 3 at the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm and 1 at the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. Their essence blood was even more majestic and pure. Similarly, they all rushed towards the suppressing prison monument's bloodline. This time, the refinement took an entire day's time. In the Shangguan clan, a terrifying aura and killing intent were emitted from a palace. What did you say? Jinjue was killed by that kid called Lu Ming? A deep roar rang out, filled with endless anger. The owner of the voice was Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling's father, the Shangguan clan's elder with real power, Shangguan Zhongyuan. Shangguan Wuchen, Shangguan Wuling, and a skinny man stood beside Shangguan Zhongyuan. Their faces were pale and cold sweat was dripping down. They knew that Shangguan Zhongyuan was infuriated, incomparably furious. Shangguan Jinjue was killed. In the entire Shangguan clan's younger generation, Shangguan Jinjue was ranked number 2. There was only one person stronger than Shangguan Jinjue. The Shangguan clan had high hopes for such a genius. In the future, he would definitely become the pillar of the Shangguan clan. Unfortunately, he died just like that. How could Shangguan Zhongyuan not be angry? Lu Ming, he must die. After a moment of silence, Shangguan Zhongyuan spat out a cold sentence. But father, there's someone guarding the 100 Supremes mountain. Those above the age of 30 can't enter. How can we kill that little bastard? Shangguan Wuchen said. Among the younger generation of the Shangguan clan, there was no one who could compete with Lu Ming except for one person. But that person was cultivating in a higher sacred ground and couldn't be disturbed. If they wanted to kill Lu Ming, they could only send an elder. But the elder couldn't enter the 100 Supremes mountain. Moreover, they didn't dare to openly send an elder to kill Lu Ming. They could only do it secretly. He can't stay in the 100 Supremes mountain forever. Wait for him to come out. Shangguan Zhongyuan's eyes were extremely cold as he continued, send someone to monitor the 100 Supremes mountain. When that kid comes out, inform me immediately. Yes. The skinny man said. Lu Ming cultivated beside the long spear for an entire day before he managed to refine all the essence blood. However, his prison-suppressing steely bloodline still hadn't evolved. However, this time, Lu Ming had a feeling that he wasn't far from the god grade. That feeling was very strange. He could feel that the prison-suppressing steely was not far away from leveling up. Lu Ming looked expectant. Once the hell-suppressing steely was upgraded to the deity rank, his battle prowess would definitely increase greatly. Furthermore, it was said that there was an even more incredible way to utilize a god bloodline. It wasn't as simple as just a burst of strength, but a huge boost to one's battle prowess. Prodigies who had awakened god-level bloodline had another title, which was god-level prodigy. According to the records, the top 300 talents on the list of top 1,000 talents were all god-level talents. That was to say, the top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents had all awakened the 3rd bloodline, which was a divine-level bloodline. Without awakening a divine bloodline, there was no way he could compete with those prodigies. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then let out a long breath and stood up. He planned to leave this place and find another place to cultivate. Brother, may I know your name? At this moment, a young man walked up to Lu Ming, cupped his fists and smiled. Lu Ming frowned slightly. Brother, I can see that your battle prowess is strong and you're a dragon among men, so I'd like to make friends with you. I'm Chu Zhongshuan. The young man continued. His eyes were very pure, and he didn't seem to have any ulterior motives. Lu Ming raised an eyebrow and said, Chu Zhongshuan, ranked 586th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Haha, my name is nothing compared to yours. Chu Zhongshuan laughed heartily. I'm Lu Ming. Since Chu Zhongshuan was so forthright, Lu Ming wasn't a hypocrite and smiled. Could it be Lu Ming, the greatest king on the heavenly king list? Chu Zhongshuan's eyes flickered. If there's no other Lu Ming who also topped the heavenly king list, then it should be me. Lu Ming touched his nose and said. No wonder brother Lu's battle prowess is so strong. With your battle prowess, you should be able to pass the 100 Masters Tower and even get a token that leads to a higher cultivation sanctuary. Chu Zhongshuan sighed. 100 Masters Tower? A token that leads to a higher cultivation sanctuary? Lu Ming was puzzled. It seems that Brother Lu doesn't know. Chu Zhongshuan was a little surprised. He immediately gave Lu Ming a simple explanation. There were many cultivation sanctuaries in 9 Dragons, and the 100 Masters Mountain was just one of them. It was just an ordinary cultivation sanctuary. There were other cultivation sanctuaries that were more wonderful and had better effects than the 100 Masters Mountain. However, some of these sanctuaries required a lot of resources, so only a limited number of people could enter. Some sanctuaries were only open to those who ranked high on the list of top 1,000 talents. After all, resources were limited and could only be given to the stronger geniuses so that they could achieve better results in the Battle of Providence. It was said that the top 100 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were personally sent to a secret place by Martial Emperor Die to cultivate in seclusion and wait for the Battle of Providence. If one wanted to enter a higher cultivation Holy Land, apart from becoming one of the top geniuses in the world, there was another way, and that was to obtain the qualifications. In some ordinary cultivation sanctuaries, there would be some testing grounds. For example, the 100 Masters Tower in the 100 Masters Mountain. As long as one could pass the test, there was a chance that they could get a token that led to a higher cultivation sanctuary. Some geniuses who cultivated in the 100 Masters Mountain would often go to the 100 Masters Tower. I can't believe there's such a place. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The 100 Masters Mountain was very effective for those with low cultivation. However, as one's cultivation increased, the effect would weaken. It would be better if one could cultivate in a more mysterious place. Brother Lu, do you want to go? Why don't we go together? I was going to try it too. Chu Zhongshuan said. All right, let's go together, Lu Ming said. Then, the two of them left. Chu Zhongshuan had been there before, so he was familiar with the place. He led Lu Ming in the direction of the 100 Masters Mountain. A few hours later, a tall tower appeared in front of them. It was a stone tower that took up a large area. It towered into the clouds. The two of them flew over and landed at the foot of the stone tower. There were a few other young men at the foot of the stone tower and they all looked up. Lu Ming also looked up. The stone tower had a total of 10 floors. At that moment, the first 6 floors were shining brightly while the last 4 floors were pitch black. Along the way, Chu Zhongshuan explained the situation of the 100 Masters Tower to Lu Ming. The 100 Masters Tower did not test one's cultivation, but the will of heaven and earth. The 100 Masters Tower had a total of 10 floors. As long as one could get to the 9th floor, they could get a token that led to a higher cultivation sanctuary. Every time one passed a floor, the 100 Masters Tower would light up. At that moment, the first 6 floors were lit up, which meant that someone had reached the 6th floor. Right at this moment, the light on the 7th floor suddenly lit up. Luan Xiongfei has already reached the 7th floor. Can he reach the 8th floor? It's hard to say. However, the Luan family's will of 100 battles is indeed terrifying. Chapter 785. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The Luan family was one of the 6 ancient families. Luan Xiongfei, ranked 432 on the list of top 1,000 talents, was even more powerful than Shangguan Jinjue. Clearly, Luan Xiongfei had reached the 7th floor. Rumble. Just then, a loud explosion came from the sky and a scorching aura spread toward Lu Ming and the others. Everyone turned their heads and saw a tall and sturdy figure rapidly flying over. His entire body was covered in purple flames, making him look like a purple sun. It's the Wang family's sky-burning flame skill, someone exclaimed. Boom. In the blink of an eye, the man was close to the 100 Masters Tower, but he had no intention of slowing down. His whole body was like a meteorite, smashing toward them. Oh no, get out of the way. The others were shocked and quickly retreated. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and stood still. Haha, get out of my way. The man from the Wang family laughed and smashed down. Brother Lu, get out of the way. Chu Zhongshuan pulled Lu Ming aside and dodged. Boom. The people from the Wang family stomped heavily on the spot where Lu Ming had been standing earlier. The ground roared, gravel flew everywhere and cracks appeared on the ground. Wang Kong, it's Wang Kong, someone exclaimed. Wang Kong, ranked 430 on the list of top 1,000 talents, was one rank higher than Luan Xiongfei. Wang Kong landed on the ground and glanced at Lu Ming unkindly. He was a little unhappy that Lu Ming did not want to dodge just now. The Wang family. Lu Ming muttered. He thought of Ken Fei Ry. Ken Fei Ry should have arrived in Kowloon City. He wondered if he had gone to the Wang family. If there was a chance, he would ask the Wang family. Luan Xiongfei actually reached the 7th floor. It seems that the 100 battles intent has improved. But it won't be that easy to reach the 8th floor. Wang Kong chuckled. Sure enough, not long after, a ray of light flashed on the 7th floor, and a human figure was sent flying out. It was a burly young man. He was wearing armor and exuded a strong fighting spirit. Flying disorderly heroes, looks like you've failed. Wang Kong sneered. Wang Kong, I've failed. You might not be better than me. After saying this, Luan Xiongfei didn't stay any longer and flew away. After Luan Xiong flew out, the light of the 100 Heralds' Tower was completely extinguished. This meant that there was no one inside. Wang Kong snorted and strode towards the first level of the 100 Masters' Pagoda. Below the first floor of the 100 Masters' Pagoda, there was a door made of light. After Wang Kong stepped into it, his figure disappeared. Brother Lu, let's give it a try too, Chu Zhongshuan said. The 100 Masters' Pagoda could be entered by multiple people at the same time. Lu Ming nodded and stepped through the door of light with Chu Zhongshuan. At the same time, a few others also stepped through the door of light. As soon as Lu Ming entered the light door, he appeared on a platform the next moment. As soon as he entered this place, Lu Ming discovered that he couldn't circulate his true essence at all. Even his spiritual flame couldn't circulate. He could only erupt with the will of heaven and earth. Whoosh! A flaming warblade condensed and slashed towards Lu Ming. This flaming warblade was condensed from the will of fire. It was equivalent to the early stage of level 2 entry. With a thought, Lu Ming's will of fire erupted and condensed into a flaming long spear. He then stabbed it towards the flaming warblade. With a bang, the flaming warblade was destroyed. In front of the platform, a door made of light appeared. The first level is really easy. Lu Ming smiled and walked into the door of light. In the next moment, he appeared on another platform. At this moment, if one were to look from outside the 100 Masters' Pagoda, they would see that 3 levels were lit up. This meant that someone had reached the 3rd level. This time, a flaming warblade was condensed on the platform. However, the will of fire contained within this flaming warblade had reached the peak of level 2 entry. It was equivalent to Lu Ming's will of fire. Lu Ming only used a will of fire to condense a long spear to clash with the flaming warblade. Clang! Clang! The long spear and the warblade constantly clashed and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Fighting purely with the will of fire. Not bad. This can train my will and make it stronger, Lu Ming thought as he focused on controlling the will of fire to fight with the flaming warblade. Lu Ming's will of fire was also at the peak of level 2 entry, which was equivalent to the flaming warblade. The two continued to clash. At this moment, 5 levels of the 100 Masters' Pagoda had lit up. This meant that someone had reached the 5th level. What a fast speed. That should be Wang Kong. He has already reached the 5th level. I wonder if he can reach the 9th level. The 9th level is unlikely. Luan Xiongfei only reached the 7th level. I reckon that Wang Kong will most likely stop at the 7th level. Under the 100 Masters' Pagoda, there were still a few people watching and discussing. Lu Ming unleashed his will of fire and clashed with the flaming warblade. After more than 100 rounds, Lu Ming felt that he had become more proficient in using the will of fire. His long spear danced in the air as he gained the upper hand. After a few moves, he defeated the flaming warblade. Although Lu Ming's will of fire had not broken through the bottleneck and reached level 2 entry, he felt that he was one step closer. After defeating the flaming warblade, another light door appeared in front of him. Lu Ming stepped in and appeared on the platform of the 3rd level in the next moment. This time, a dazzling golden battle sword appeared. It was condensed from the metal concept, and it had reached the 2nd level of the concept of lesser success. It seemed that the wills that appeared in the 100 Masters Pagoda were random. There was no fixed wills. Shoo! The golden warblade was extremely sharp as it pierced towards Lu Ming. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming unleashed two wills. Wind and fire merged together and formed a long spear. In a few moves, it defeated the golden warblade. Lu Ming continued and entered the 4th level. On the 4th level, there was still a golden warblade. However, the will of metal had reached the peak of level 2 entry. Lu Ming fought with the wills of wind and fire. After a few dozen moves, he defeated the golden warblade and entered the 5th level. At this moment, there were already people who had failed and were ejected. The 7th level also lit up at this moment. Someone had reached the 7th level. Below the pagoda, the others looked up to see if the 8th level would light up. But after a while, the 7th level flashed and a figure flew out. It was Wang Kong. Damn it, I was so close to reaching the 8th level. Wang Kong roared. When Wang Kong came out, he saw that the 7th level's light had extinguished, but the lower 6 levels were still lit. In less than 2 minutes, the 6th level flashed and a figure appeared. It was Chu Zhongshuan. He had reached the 6th level and was ejected. The 6th level's light was extinguished, but the lower 5 levels were still lit. There's still someone on the 5th level. Wang Kong looked at the 100 Masters Pagoda and did not leave. At this moment, Lu Ming was on the 5th level. A green ring appeared on the 5th level. It was formed by the will of wind and had reached level 2 entry. Lu Ming still only used the wills of wind and fire. He tried his best to resist, but he was completely at a disadvantage. Chapter 786. Lu Ming didn't want to achieve anything, but he wanted to avoid any mistakes. He focused his mind and unleashed his wind and fire intent to resist the attacks. Although Lu Ming's long spear, which was condensed by the concept of wind and fire, was buzzing and trembling with every attack, as if it would collapse at any time, Lu Ming blocked it every time. Lu Ming blocked the attacks while comprehending them. Outside the 100 Masters Pagoda, everyone was watching. What's going on? Who is it? Why did he stay on the 5th floor for so long? It's the person who came with Chu Zhongshuan. I don't know what his name is, but I reckon that he can only reach the 5th floor at most. That's why he was stuck there for so long. If you can't pass, come down quickly. There are still others who want to go in. Don't waste their time. At this moment, there were others who had just arrived and they snorted. Boring. Wang Kong curled his lips in disdain. Just as he was about to leave, his eyes flickered. The others were also stunned. Because of this, the 6th floor of the 100 Masters Pagoda suddenly lit up. Lu Ming had reached the 6th floor. After enduring for so long, he finally reached the 6th floor. I reckon that the 6th floor is his limit. I bet that he will be ejected from the 6th floor in less than a minute, but before they could finish their words, they stopped abruptly. Because the 7th floor suddenly lit up as well. It had only been a few breaths since the 6th floor lit up, and the 7th floor lit up. Below the 100 Masters Pagoda, those people couldn't help but open their mouths wide. Those who said that Lu Ming's limit was the 6th floor, and those who said that Lu Ming would be ejected in less than a minute, blushed in shame. This slap to their faces was too fast. The 7th floor was already the highest floor that Wang Kong and Luan Xiongfei had reached. Now, another person had reached it. Interesting. Wang Kong moved back and stared at the 100 Masters Pagoda. The 7th floor stopped again. The 8th floor didn't light up, and no one came out. Inside the 100 Masters Pagoda, Lu Ming felt that he had trained enough on the 5th floor. Once again, he unleashed his lightning intent and fused the 3 intents, instantly destroying the green ring and entering the 6th floor. The 6th floor's intent was equivalent to the peak of 2nd grade minister. Lu Ming only took a few breaths to destroy it and reach the 7th floor. Therefore, the time when the 6th and 7th levels lit up was only a few breaths apart. The perfect 2nd grade intent appeared on the 7th floor. A lightning spear formed from lightning, and it pierced towards Lu Ming. It was fast and ruthless, instantly appearing in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming used his 3 intents to resist the lightning spear. This time, the battle lasted for more than 10 minutes. Ha ha, Lightning's intense intent ts. During the fierce battle with the lightning spear, Lu Ming was enlightened and cultivated his thunder concept to the peak of second-level entry-level. The power of the fusion of the three concepts increased again, and it destroyed the lightning spear in one fell swoop. The 7th floor's Lu Ming stepped into the 8th floor through the light door. When Lu Ming stepped into the 8th level of the 100 Masters Pagoda lit up. Below the pagoda, the crowd couldn't help but widen their eyes. Lu Ming actually reached the 8th floor. Terrifying. This meant that Lu Ming's comprehension of intents had surpassed Luan Xiongfei and Wang Kong. Amazing, Lu Ming is really amazing, Chu Zhongshuan praised inwardly. Ph. Intent doesn't represent everything. This person's intent isn't bad, but his battle strength isn't that strong. Wang Kong snorted. The crowd didn't say anything. They knew that Wang Kong was unhappy that someone had surpassed him. They only raised their heads and looked at the 100 Masters Pagoda. Would he be able to reach the 9th floor? They couldn't help but look forward to it. The 8th floor's intent was the peak of second-grade perfect. Lu Ming's 3 intents weren't a match for it. Therefore, Lu Ming unleashed the Earth intent. Once the Earth intent was unleashed, the 4 intents fused and crushed the opponent. Lu Ming reached the 9th floor. The 9th floor lit up. Someone has reached the 9th floor. Amazing, amazing. As long as he performs well on the 9th floor, he might be able to get a token that leads to a higher cultivation ground. The 9th floor is extremely difficult to pass. The better his performance, the more likely he is to get a token. Below the pagoda, the crowd widened their eyes and stared at the top of the pagoda, the 9th floor. They wanted to see when someone would be ejected out. The 9th floor's intent didn't reach the 3rd level. If it did, there would be no need to compete. A 3rd level intent could completely crush a 2nd level intent. 9 battle swords appeared on the 9th floor. Blue, red, gold. They were actually 9 common intents. Each of them formed a battle sword and pierced towards Lu Ming. The 9 swords vaguely formed a sword formation. Boom. The 4 types of intents merged and formed a dazzling battle suit of 4 colors on Lu Ming's body. It covered his entire body, including his face. At the same time, a long spear was unhindered and had terrifying power. Lu Ming realized that the intents that appeared in the 100 House Pagoda were the 9 common intents. Therefore, those who cultivated special intents would have an advantage here because special intents were more powerful and mysterious. Just like the Earth intent, it was the strongest among Lu Ming's 4 intents. When it fused with the other 3 intents, its power was also the most terrifying. Peng, peng, peng. The sound of collisions continued to resound. After a few dozen moves, peng, a battle sword formed by the mountain intent, was first defeated by Lu Ming. After the first battle sword was defeated, the remaining 8 intents were much weaker. Subsequently, one battle sword after another was defeated by Lu Ming. Soon, all 9 battle swords were defeated by Lu Ming. A light door appeared in front of the platform. Is that the entrance to the 10th floor? Lu Ming muttered. According to Chu Zhongshuan, it was difficult for ordinary people to pass the 9th floor. It would be considered good if they could pass the 9th floor and even last for a period of time. On the 9th floor, 9 common intents fused into 9 battle swords to form a sword array. Moreover, they were all at the peak of the 2nd level. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to pass at all. Only Lu Ming, who had fused 4 intents and the powerful Earth intent, could pass the 9th floor. Then, what would the 10th floor have? Lu Ming stepped forward and entered the light door. Outside the pagoda, when Lu Ming stepped into the light door leading to the 10th floor, the light on the 9th floor suddenly extinguished. The entire 100 House Pagoda's light was extinguished. The light is extinguished. That person has failed. They didn't know Lu Ming's name. Something's not right. Why hasn't he come out yet? Normally, he would be ejected after failing. Could he have died in there? Probably not. I've never heard of anyone dying in the 100 House Pagoda. Wait. However, an hour passed in the blink of an eye and Lu Ming still hadn't come out. 2 hours later, Lu Ming still hadn't come out. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed and Lu Ming still hadn't come out. Chapter 787. What's going on? Chu Zhongshuan was also a little anxious, worried that something might have happened to Lu Ming. Chu Zhongshuan, this person came with you. Who is he? Wang Kong's gaze shifted to Chu Zhongshuan. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He is Lu Ming, Chu Zhongshuan said after pondering for a while. It was just a name, there was nothing to hide. Lu Ming? Who is that? You don't even know Lu Ming? Seems like you have been in seclusion for too long. I heard that the first place of this year's Heavenly King ranking is Lu Ming. So it's him. Some of the people present had heard of Lu Ming's name, while others had not. Lu Ming, so it's him. Wang Kong's eyes were even sharper, as if there were flames burning in them. Of course, he had heard of Lu Ming's name. During the Heavenly King ranking battle, the Wang family had lost a few geniuses, all of whom were killed by Lu Ming. I'd like to see what's going on with this 100 tower. How many days can you stay in there? Wang Kong sneered as he appeared on a huge rock not far away and sat down cross-legged. In fact, Lu Ming was also a little surprised. When he stepped into the light door and appeared on the 10th floor, he realized that there were two old men sitting cross-legged on the 10th floor. The two old men were dressed in grey robes, and there was no aura on them, as if they were two ordinary old men. However, Lu Ming obviously did not think that they were ordinary old men. It was impossible for ordinary old men to appear here. The only possibility was that their cultivation was too profound, and he could not sense it at all. When Lu Ming appeared, the two old men's gazes landed on Lu Ming and they were shocked. Interesting, you have actually comprehended 4 different intents, and have successfully fused all 4 intents. This is very rare. One of the old men said. It's not just rare. I have never seen anyone who can fuse 4 intents and cultivate to the 2nd level. I have seen someone who has fused 3 intents. Another old man also spoke. Junior Lu Ming greets the 2 seniors. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. Not bad, little guy. One of them nodded. Senior, may I ask what the test of the 10th floor is? Lu Ming asked. Examination? No, you've already cleared all the levels. However, since you've reached the 10th level, the 2 of us old fellows can't do nothing. As the old man on the left spoke, his eyes suddenly lit up like 2 balls of fire. In the next moment, endless flames enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. 4 different wills filled the air as he shouted at the same time. Senior, what do you mean? Brat, just use the concept of fire to resist. It'll be good for you. The old man said. Lu Ming's heart shuddered. These 2 old men were unfathomable. It would be easy for them to kill him. Why did they have to do this? Judging from the old man's tone, there seemed to be another reason. Immediately, Lu Ming withdrew the other 3 wills, and only used the concept of fire to resist. When the flames controlled by the old man surrounded Lu Ming didn't feel the slightest bit of heat. Instead, he felt very comfortable. He felt as if he was bathing in the concept of fire. The various changes of the concept of fire appeared before his eyes. The concept of fire has such changes. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Why didn't I think of it? After a while, Lu Ming's eyes became brighter. He closed his eyes and comprehended. His perception was completely immersed in the concept of fire in the outside world, and his own concept of fire had various changes as he comprehended it. This brat has such a strong comprehension ability. The eyes of the old man on the left lit up, and he couldn't help but praise. Indeed, his comprehension ability is amazing to have comprehended it so quickly. However, it's not surprising. To be able to successfully merge 4 different wills and cultivate to this level, even if he had a fortuitous encounter, his comprehension ability is absolutely amazing. The old man on the right said. Just like this, Lu Ming was immersed in cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. After 3 days, Lu Ming's concept of fire suddenly became violent and powerful. The concept of fire had finally broken through to level 2 initial success. Breaking through the bottleneck in 3 days. Not bad, not bad. The old man on the left nodded and withdrew the concept of fire. Thank you, senior, for helping me. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He knew that the old man intended to help him. Brat, Don't be happy too early. There's more. The eyes of the old man on the right lit up. As soon as he opened his mouth, a fierce wind blew. Endless concept of wind enveloped Lu Ming. Concept of wind. Lu Ming was overjoyed and continued to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days had passed. Lu Ming's concept of wind had also successfully broken through to level 2 initial success. Brat, the two of us have only mastered these 2 wills. Consider it your reward for passing the stage. The other wills are up to you to comprehend. The old man on the right withdrew the concept of wind and smiled. Thank you 2 seniors. Lu Ming bowed and thanked them again. Millimeter, there's also this token. Take it. With your talent, you're fully qualified to cultivate in a higher holy land. A token appeared in the hands of the elder on the left and he threw it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming caught it and was overjoyed. Wasn't this token the reason he came here? Now he finally got it. Lu Ming bowed again to express his gratitude. Millimeter, go. The old man on the right waved his hand. Immediately, a powerful force acted on Lu Ming's body. With a flash of light, Lu Ming discovered that he was already out of the 100 Masters Pagoda. He appeared in mid-air outside the pagoda. At the same time, the true yuan in his body was no longer suppressed and could circulate freely. Lu Ming circulated his true yuan and landed on the ground. Lu Ming is out. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, someone exclaimed. Lu Ming actually stayed in the 100 Masters Pagoda for 6 days and then came out safe and sound. This was somewhat unbelievable. In the past, even if someone passed, they would only obtain a token. No one had stayed in there for 6 days. On a huge rock not far away, Wang Kong opened his eyes. There were 2 balls of fire burning in his eyes. His body moved and a blazing aura spread toward Lu Ming. He suddenly landed in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming, what did you experience in there? Speak. Wang Kong asked, his tone full of command. What did I experience in there? What does it have to do with you? Lu Ming frowned and glanced at Wang Kong. Lu Ming, what's with your attitude? If I say it has something to do with me, it has something to do with me. Also, did you obtain a token that leads to a higher holy land? Hand it over. Wang Kong reprimanded coldly. Idiot, get out of my way. You're blocking the way. Lu Ming was speechless. Who did Wang Kong think he was? Others might be afraid of him, but Lu Ming had never been afraid of anyone in his entire life. Lu Ming, don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're the top of the Heavenly King ranking and have a stronger intent realm. Let me tell you, the Heavenly King ranking is a joke in my eyes. Although you've passed the 100 Masters Pagoda, your intent realm can't fully represent your combat strength. I advise you to hand over the token obediently before I take action. Chapter 788. The others watched quietly, knowing that Wang Kong was trying to snatch Lu Ming's token. It all depended on how Lu Ming would deal with it. Chu Zhongshuan wanted to speak up for Lu Ming, but the Wang family was too powerful. If he spoke up, he might get himself into trouble. He thought for a while and decided not to say anything. Get out of my way. A good dog doesn't block the way. Lu Ming had completely lost his patience. His face turned cold as he scolded coldly. You're courting death. Wang Kong's eyes were completely cold. His body emitted blazing flames, and the terrifying temperature distorted the space. Boom. He stepped out, his hand like a heavenly blade, and slashed at Lu Ming. Get out of my way. Lu Ming also struck out with his palm, activating the hell-suppressing heaven skill. Bang. Their palms collided with a buzzing sound. Lu Ming's body shook slightly, while Wang Kong took 2 steps back. Wherever his feet stepped, the rock was directly vaporized by the terrifying temperature, and 2 dark holes appeared. Let's fight in the air. Lu Ming rose into the air and appeared in the sky. Kill. Wang Kong's killing intent surged, and the temperature on his body became even more terrifying. The Wang family's sky-burning flame technique was activated to the extreme. At the same time, the pure purple heavenly fire bloodline burst out, making Wang Kong look like he was about to completely turn into a ball of fire. His aura was many times stronger than Wang Ju's when he was still a peak king. Wang Kong's cultivation was also at the peak of the third level of the spiritual sea realm. Sky-burning flame, incineration cut. A saber appeared in Wang Kong's hand, which was also filled with terrifying flames. This is the evolution of the fire essence, the incineration essence. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Wang Kong's talent was indeed terrifying, as he ranked 430th on the list of top 1,000 talents. He had actually evolved the fire essence into the even more terrifying incineration essence. The essence of heaven and earth was not unchanging. It did not mean that the fire essence would be the fire essence just because you comprehended it. Some geniuses with terrifying talent could evolve on the basis of this kind of concept, evolving into an even more terrifying concept. As for what kind of intent realm they could evolve into, it was different for everyone. It would depend on themselves. For example, the 9 great concepts seemed to be the weakest, but they also had the most limitless possibilities. For example, the concept of fire could evolve into countless other concepts related to fire. Many of them were extremely powerful, far surpassing the concept of fire itself. The concept of incineration was one of the evolutions of the concept of fire. Whoosh! A terrifying saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body emitted 4 different wills, which merged with the Genu Heaven skill. He slashed out a palm towards Wang Kong. Boom! In the sky, there was a terrifying explosion. The clouds were torn apart, and 5 different colors of light filled the entire sky. This time, Lu Ming's figure only swayed a little, but Wang Kong retreated 9 steps consecutively with a loud thud. How is this possible? Wang Kong's eyes were filled with shock. He had already unleashed his full strength, but he was still pushed back by Lu Ming's palm. He simply couldn't believe it. He was the genius of the Wang family. The Wang family cultivated the Raging Flames sky-burning art, which was a deity-level cultivation technique. In addition, his intent had evolved and comprehended the concept of incineration. Moreover, his bloodline martial technique was also extremely powerful, and was also a demigod martial technique. It could be said that he had no shortcomings. In a battle of the same level, except for a limited number of monstrous geniuses or deity-level geniuses who had awakened a deity-level bloodline, he feared no one. However, right now, Lu Ming had actually skipped levels and defeated him. When had he ever been pushed back by someone with a higher level? Damn it! Wang Kong roared, and the flames on his body roared as if they were going to burn the world. Is there any use in yelling? Lu Ming took a step forward and slashed at Wang Kong with his palm. Boom! The two exchanged blows, and Wang Kong retreated again. To be honest, Wang Kong was very strong. He was much stronger than Shangguan Jinjue. When Shangguan Jinjue faced Lu Ming, he was completely suppressed and killed in a few moves. As for Wang Kong, he could still block, although he was completely at a disadvantage. Bang! 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 After more than 10 moves, Wang Kong was completely suppressed. No matter how much he roared, it was useless. Bang! In the end, Wang Kong was sent flying over 1,000 meters by Lu Ming's palm, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming, just you wait. Wang Kong roared and turned to leave, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not chase after him. Wang Kong was very strong, extremely strong. If he wanted to leave, Lu Ming would not be able to kill him unless he used the inscription Dao and cooperated with him. The surrounding people looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming had actually defeated Wang Kong, and it was a battle of a higher level. It was really terrifying. Brother Lu is really powerful. I admire you. Chu Zhongshuan walked over and said, still with a look of amazement on his face. You're welcome, Brother Chu. I need to find a place to cultivate in seclusion. I'll take my leave now. Lu Ming cupped his fists and then stepped into the air and left. Some of the people left behind were full of doubts. They were guessing whether Lu Ming had obtained a token that led to a higher cultivation sacred ground. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming landed on a mountain peak and then entered the Temple of Paragon. 5 or 6 storage rings appeared in his hand. These storage rings were obtained from the enemies he had killed, such as Shangguan Jinjue and the others. They were all above the spiritual sea realm, and there were even some at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm and Shangguan Jinjue. There were many things inside. Not to mention other things, just the top-grade spiritual crystals added up to 800 million. There were even dozens of mid-grade profound crystals, but there were all kinds of them. There were also many martial skills, spiritual weapons, and elixirs. It was a pity that there were no origin stones, but Lu Ming was satisfied. Now, his 4 intents had all reached the peak of the 2nd level, and even his wind and fire intents had reached the 2nd level. He could continue to devour spiritual crystals to increase his cultivation. However, 800 million spiritual crystals wouldn't increase his cultivation by much. Lu Ming had consumed more than 800 million spiritual crystals in the process of breaking through to the spiritual sea realm from the martial king realm. Moreover, he had cultivated the super spiritual sea. If Lu Ming wanted to increase his cultivation now, he would need to consume even more energy. Bang, 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 piles of top-grade spiritual crystals were devoured, and Lu Ming started to refine them crazily. 100 million, 200 million, not long after, Lu Ming had refined 600 million of the 800 million spiritual crystals. Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. If he wanted to break through to the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm, the remaining 200 million spiritual crystals weren't enough. Lu Ming didn't continue to devour them. However, reaching the peak of the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm also increased Lu Ming's true origin by a lot. In his spiritual sea, true origin was surging. At this moment, a spiritual medicine appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was a 6th level spiritual medicine. For a long time, Lu Ming hadn't cultivated his physical body. Now, it was time for him to cultivate properly. Using the 10,000 spirit battle body, he started to refine the spiritual medicine and cultivate his physical body. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Lu Ming had refined more than 26th level spiritual medicine, and his physical body had reached the peak of the 7th level. Chapter 789. After a few days of cultivation, Lu Ming's strength had improved a little. He ended his seclusion and continued to look for seals to comprehend the essence. Half a day later, Lu Ming sat cross-legged beside a huge stone axe and quietly comprehended. The essence that this stone axe exuded was the earth essence. There were not many people who could comprehend the earth essence. Including Lu Ming, there were only 5 people around the stone axe. The head of the dragon vein was the center of the dragon vein. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was so dense that it turned into mist and drifted between heaven and earth. There was even an essence of heaven and earth permeating between heaven and earth. Obviously, there was a Tao eye in the dragon vein that could allow one to comprehend the essence of heaven and earth. The Wang family of the 6 ancient aristocratic families was located here. In a courtyard of the Wang family, Wang Kong stood beside a slender young man wearing a cloud pattern. There was no arrogance on his face. Instead, there was awe and fear. Wang Kong, do you mean that the person called Lu Ming might have obtained a token that leads to a higher cultivation sacred ground? The young man asked. His voice was not loud, but it was full of authority. Brother Hao Tian, yes. Lu Ming reached the 9th floor and stayed there for 6 days. It's very likely that he got a token. Wang Kong answered honestly. Oh, that's very likely. I must get that token. I want to enter the blood pool with it and condense the 3rd bloodline. Wang Kong, go get it for me. The young man's eyes lit up. The young man was Wang Haotian, ranked 356th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Although he was only a few dozen places higher than Wang Kong, they were not in the same league. Those in the top 300 were called god-level geniuses. Wang Haotian was in the top 400, close to the top 300. He was a quasi-god-level genius who was about to awaken the 3rd bloodline. Once he awakened the 3rd bloodline, and it was a god-level bloodline, he would be a god-level genius. Unfortunately, although Wang Haotian reached the 9th floor of the 100 Masters Tower, he did not get a token to go to a higher cultivation holy land. Wang Kong knew that Wang Haotian wanted to get a token to go to a higher cultivation holy land, the blood pool, to accumulate bloodline power and condense the god-level bloodline. Therefore, when he knew that Lu Ming might have a token, he had to get it. Wang Kong's expression changed slightly. Brother Haotian, That Lu Ming's combat strength is very strong. I couldn't defeat him last time. Hihi, so that's the case. No wonder you came looking for me. No matter, as long as you mention my name, I don't think he would dare to refuse. Go. Wang Haotian waved his hand. Okay. Wang Kong nodded and left. Lu Ming stood beside the stone axe. This enlightenment took him 5 days. Lu Ming had gained a lot. He felt that the Earth concept could break through to level 2 initial success at any time. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly turned his head and looked in one direction. Wang Kong. Wang Kong said coldly. Why? Are you looking for trouble again? Lu Ming smiled faintly. As soon as these words were spoken, the other 4 people beside Shifu revealed a trace of shock. Could it be that Wang Kong was really defeated by this young man before them? Wang Kong's face darkened. I'm not the one looking for you this time. Wang Haotian. You should have heard of him, right? The quasi-god level prodigy, Wang Haotian, ranked 356th. Lu Ming was surprised. That's right. He asked me to take the token from you. Hand it over. Wang Kong said coldly, his tone revealing a hint of threat. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? Wang Kong's face darkened. I'm laughing at your Wang family. You're one of the 6 ancient families. What a disgrace. You don't have the ability to get it, but you want to get it from others. Who does Wang Haotian think he is? If he wants it, ask him to come and get it himself. Lu Ming laughed. His tone was full of disdain. Lu Ming, how dare you insult my Wang family? No one can save you. Wang Kong roared. Do you want to try? Lu Ming's eyes were as sharp as a blade. He exuded a powerful aura and took a step forward. Boom. Heaven and earth roared. Lu Ming's body exuded a powerful aura. Wang Kong's face changed drastically. He retreated quickly and shouted, Lu Ming, just you wait. After saying that, he left quickly. Coward. Lu Ming shook his head and continued to sit cross-legged beside the stone axe. However, just as he sat down, Lu Ming's expression changed. A voice transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. He scanned it with his mind and his face changed slightly. It was a message from Qiao Xian. She seemed to be quite anxious. She had something urgent to tell Lu Ming and asked Lu Ming to meet her at a place. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and stopped cultivating. He flew towards the address that Qiao Xian left behind. A few hours later, Lu Ming met Qiao Xian. Lu Ming, something happened to Fatty and Tingting, Qiao Xian said anxiously as soon as she saw Lu Ming. What? What happened? Lu Ming's face changed. It's like this. Immediately, Qiao Xian told him what she had learned. It turned out that Kong Jin had been cultivating with Ruan Tingting after entering the 100 Supremes mountain. Everyone knew what Kong Jin was thinking. However, no one had expected that Ruan Tingting had obtained a great opportunity. She had obtained the inheritance of a peerless expert from a seal. That inheritance was a deity-level cultivation technique. This time, many people were shocked. The geniuses of the Luan family were nearby. They immediately forced Ruan Tingting to hand over the deity-level cultivation technique. Ruan Tingting refused, so the Luan family took action. This time, the genius from the Luan clan was defeated by Kong Jin at the beginning. However, the Luan clan sent out even more people. Kong Jin wasn't a match for them. He fled with Ruan Tingting. Now, they were trapped in a cave. Tingting and Fatty didn't send us any news. They must be afraid of getting us involved. I only heard about it because this matter was getting out of hand. Now, Fatty and the others are in danger, so I thought of you. Qiao Xian said. Damn the Luan family. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The Luan family and the Wang family were jackals of the same tribe. They thought they were superior and could take other people's things as they wished. Lu Ming, I also heard that Tingting's inheritance is deep in her soul. Once it is leaked, her soul will explode and she will die. Qiao Xian said anxiously. Do you know where they are trapped? Bring me there. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with a cold light. They are at a place marked by a seal. It's quite far from here. Let's go. Lu Ming and Xiao Xian immediately flew into the sky and disappeared. Huff huff huff, Kong Jin panted heavily. His entire body was covered in blood. It was all his own blood. He held his battle axe and blocked the entrance of a cave. Ruan Tingting was inside the cave. Chapter 790. It was also because of this cave that Kong Jin was able to fend off the Luan family's attack. This time, the Luan family had sent out 3 geniuses. Out of the 3 geniuses, 2 of them were ranked in the top 500. One of them was ranked 420, and his combat strength was extremely strong. In addition, there were 8 young experts in the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Although Fatty had successfully broken through to the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm, he was still no match for them. If it weren't for the fact that the cave was narrow and could only allow one person to attack at a time, Fatty wouldn't have been able to fend them off. He had been fending them off for 2 days and 2 nights. The Luan family had taken turns attacking him, and his injuries were getting worse. However, he couldn't fall. He couldn't fall for Tingting. Outside the cave, the geniuses of the Luan family surrounded the cave with cold gazes. Lu Ming had seen one of them before. It was Luan Xiongfei, ranked 432 on the list of top 1,000 talents. The other one was Luan Tianhao, ranked 420. Fatty, I advise you not to put up any unnecessary resistance. Otherwise, you'll suffer, Luan Xiongfei said coldly. I've already said that when I received the inheritance, there was a restriction in it. Once I do, my soul will explode. Even if you want it, I can't give it to you. Ruan Tingting's voice came from the cave. Hihi, of course we know that. However, as long as you follow us back to the Luan family, we'll naturally have a way to extract the inheritance from your soul. Luan Xiongfei sneered. Do you think I'm an idiot? If you extract the inheritance from your soul, you'll lose your soul if you're not careful. No matter how lucky you are, you'll end up as a retard. Kong Jin shouted angrily. Hihi, that'll depend on her luck. Luan Xiongfei sneered. How precious is a divine-level cultivation technique? How can you control it? Just follow us back to the Luan family obediently. Luan Tianhao said coldly. Don't even think about it. Come and fight me if you dare. I'll chop you in half with my axe. Kong Jin roared like an injured beast. His ferocious aura permeated the air. Not far from the cave, many people were watching. However, no one stepped forward to say a word. What a joke! Who would dare to interfere in the matters of one of the ancient aristocratic families, the Luan family? Being targeted by an ancient aristocratic family, one could only admit that they were unlucky. You're courting death. Chaotic flight's killing intent exploded. This damn Fatty was even more difficult to deal with than they had imagined. He had actually blocked the entrance of the cave. It had already been 2 days. They had taken turns to attack, but they still couldn't break through the Fatty's defense. If not for the fact that they were in a cave, the Fatty would not have been able to withstand more than a few of their blows given his injuries. Fatty, forget it. Just hand me over to them. Ruan Tingting's eyes welled up with tears as she looked at the Fatty's body that was covered in blood. She didn't want to go to the Luan clan. She couldn't accept it. She hadn't avenged her parents yet, but the ancient families were too powerful. What could she do? Don't say any more. That's impossible unless I die. Kong Jin's tone was resolute. Ruan Tingting sighed. At this moment, she really hated her own incompetence. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Luan Xiongfei strode forward and rushed into the cave. Come. The Fatty grinned. His eyes were fierce as he raised his battle axe and started to fight with Luan Xiongfei. Boom. Boom. Terrifying energy shot out in all directions, but there was a mark on the walls of the cave. All the energy that shot out was like a stone sinking into the ocean. The two exchanged more than 100 blows before Luan Xiongfei retreated with a gloomy expression. This Fatty's battle power was ridiculously strong. His endurance was also ridiculously high. Luan Xiongfei couldn't break through his heavily injured body. Ha ha ha, Luan Xiongfei, Luan Tianhao, you guys can't even deal with a heavily injured person. How about this? Leave this to the Jiang clan? At this moment, There was a loud laugh. More than 10 figures appeared in the air. Luan Tianhao's expression changed when he saw who it was. Jiang Taiyu, it's you? What is the Jiang clan doing here? Luan Tianhao, everyone has a share of the deity tier cultivation technique. Don't tell me your Luan clan wants to take it for yourself. Jiang Taiyu smiled faintly. You guys want the deity tier cultivation technique too? Our Luan clan found that chick first. Luan Tianhao said coldly. So what if you found her first? I gave you a few days, but you couldn't get it done. Who's to blame? Let the Jiang clan do it. Jiang Taiyu said with a smile. Luan Tianhao and Luan Xiongfei's expressions darkened. Jiang Taiyu was ranked 419th on the list of top 1,000 talents, one rank higher than Luan Tianhao. Moreover, there were 2 other supreme talents from the Jiang family, making a total of 3 supreme talents. They were no weaker than Luan Tianhao and Luan Tianhao. The 2 sides were at loggerheads. How about this? Let's take that chick back and let the elders of the 2 clans discuss it. What do you think? Luan Xiongfei said. Okay, I have no objections. Jiang Taiyu said. I have no objections either. Now, it's your turn to attack. As long as you get rid of that fatty, everything will be easy. Luan Tianhao nodded. They had reached an agreement. At the entrance of the cave, the fatty grinned. Inside the cave, Luan Tingting's eyes were filled with despair. Her face was even paler. Evidently, she had also been injured earlier. Furthermore, her injuries were not light. Let me kill this fatty. Jiang Taiyu strode forward, his eyes flashing like lightning. Let's see who you can kill. Suddenly, a cold voice rang out, and a powerful force field descended with a loud rumble. Xian Yanqing was flying toward them. Xiao Qing, leave now. The fatty's expression changed as he shouted. The Jiang clan and the Luan clan had 6 supreme talents and more than a dozen young experts at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Xian Yanqing was definitely no match for them. Shut up. Mind your own business. Xian Yanqing scolded. Without stopping, he stepped forward. His body emitted a black light, and his black gauze dress fluttered, making Xian Yanqing look like a demoness. What a beautiful chick. I'll take her back and make her my concubine. Jiang Taiyu's eyes lit up. There was a hint of passion in his eyes. Bang! In the next moment, Jiang Taiyu moved. Like a peerless divine weapon, he broke through the sky demon force field and charged toward Xian Yanqing. Destruction cut. Xian Yanqing whispered. In the sky demon force field, the space was distorted, and a terrifying cutting power erupted. Jiang Taiyu's expression suddenly changed. His body emitted a black light, and he slashed forward like a divine weapon. Clang! Clang! Jiang Taiyu's arm collided with the destruction cut, making a sound of metal clashing and sparks flying. Interesting. But you want to stop me with such means? You're still far from it. Jiang Taiyu's eyes emitted a dim light. His body suddenly moved, as if he had turned into a sword. A slender assassination sword, a viper sword, swam in the sky demon force field. The sharp sound of the air breaking rang through the sky. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Jiang clan's immemorial mystical weapon technique was amazing. It could refine a person into a mystical weapon. Chapter 791. Heavenly Demon's Hand. Xian Yanqing pressed out with one hand again, and a beautiful arm was formed. It was like the arm of a supreme demon descending, pressing towards Jiang Taiyu. Apparently, Xian Yanqing's cultivation had also improved, reaching the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. This palm seemed to have locked onto Jiang Taiyu. Jiang Taiyu was in the heavenly demon power field and had nowhere to hide. Jiang Taiyu's face changed slightly, and his hand slashed out like a sword. Clang! Jiang Taishu's hand collided with Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon's hand. Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon's hand was defeated, but Jiang Taishu also retreated 3 steps. So strong. Everyone's eyes were wide open. Jiang Taiyu was ranked 419th on the list of top 1,000 talents, and his cultivation had reached the limit of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Now, he was defeated by Xian Yanqing, who was only at the second level of the spiritual sea realm. Good, very good. Girl, you've successfully angered me. Jiang Taishu's eyes were cold, and the black light on his body became stronger. A sharp chi spread out, piercing the space. At the same time, a black iron sword floated above his head. The iron sword was slender, like a poisonous snake. 9 silver chakras shone brightly. This was Jiang Taiyou's bloodline. Back then, Jiang Taishu's bloodline was a mountain full of weapons. But Jiang Taiyou's bloodline was different. It was only a sword, but it was purer. An incomparably sharp sword intent emanated from Jiang Taiyou's body. It was a vast sword might. Sword essence, that's the sword essence. Someone exclaimed. The sword essence was also an evolved essence. It evolved from the metal essence. Those who awakened the bloodline of weapons such as swords and sabers could easily comprehend the metal essence. But the metal essence could evolve into the sword essence, saber essence, spear essence, and so on. For example, the sword essence, combined with the sword-type bloodline and the corresponding sword skill, was extremely powerful. Kill! Jiang Taiyu yelled, and his arm slashed out like a sword. The sharp sword chi slashed forward as if it could cut through all obstacles. The sky demon force field was torn apart in an instant. Demonic lotus. At this time, Xian Yanqing frowned slightly and pressed his hands again. This time, a lotus throne appeared in the air. The lotus throne was black, and a black petal flew out. It was extremely sharp and fought against Jiang Taiyou's sword chi. Clang. A sharp sound was emitted, and the two cancelled each other out. Jiang Taiyou's face darkened as he launched a frenzied attack. However, Xian Yanqing was also extremely powerful. For a moment, it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. The others' expressions were grave. Xian Yanqing was too strong, only in the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. If she broke through to the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier, what would happen? Wouldn't he be able to suppress Jiang Taiyu with a flip of his hand? In the blink of an eye, Xian Yanqing and Jiang Taiyu had exchanged dozens of blows. The two of them were evenly matched. Clang. With another strike, both of them retreated. Let's end this quickly. Why don't we join forces and take down this woman? Luan Tianhao said. Good. Let's attack together. Jiang Taiyu nodded solemnly. Xian Yanqing's battle prowess was beyond his expectations. At this time, Xian Yanqing controlled the Sky Demon force field. She was unbelievably fast in the Sky Demon force field. In an instant, she appeared at the entrance of the cave. Fatty, you heal first. I'll hold them off here. Xian Yanqing said. No, you alone are no match for so many of them. They'll take turns to attack. You can't hold them off. You'd better break out alone, Kong Jin said. Shut up. Xian Yanqing said coldly, but had no intention of leaving. Kong Jin was speechless. Then he said, why don't you send a message to Lu Ming and ask him to come over? With the three of us, we should be able to break out. Okay, I'll send a message to him. Xian Yanqing nodded, took out a message jade talisman, and sent a message to Lu Ming. Kill. At this time, Jiang Taishu continued to attack Xian Yanqing. With Xian Yanqing blocking the entrance of the cave, only one of them could attack. While the battle was going on, Lu Ming also received Xian Yanqing's message on the way. He was even more anxious, and his eyes flashed with murderous intent. Miss Qiao, it's very dangerous over there. Don't go. I'll go save Fatty and the others first. After saying that, Lu Ming stepped forward, and his speed skyrocketed. At this time, in Wang Haotian's courtyard, Wang Kong was standing beside Wang Haotian, reporting the news. Did he really say that? Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. That's right. Lu Ming is unruly and lawless. He doesn't take you seriously at all, Brother Haotian. Wang Kong said. He, unruly? That's because he hasn't met anyone who can tame him. I'll make him bow down to me. Wang Kong, bring that trash with the surname Jian and follow me to 100 Supremes Mountain. I'd like to see how unruly he can be in front of me. Wang Haotian said, and a cold murderous intent spread out. Okay. I heard that trash with the surname Jian is Lu Ming's good friend. He He actually dares to meet a woman of my Wang family. What a pervert. Wang Kong sneered and walked out of the courtyard. Soon, Wang Haotian and Wang Kong brought a person with them, and rushed towards 100 Supremes Mountain. Boom. Boom. At the entrance of the cave, the battle had been going on for 3 hours. The 6 geniuses of the Jiang family and the Luan family took turns to attack Xian Yanqing. No matter how strong Xian Yanqing's true essence was, he could barely hold on. He was sweating profusely and panting heavily. Bitch, let's see how long you can last. It was Jiang Taiyu attacking Xian Yanqing again. The storm-like attacks made Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon force field tremble violently. It seemed like it would be difficult to maintain it. Boom. Boom. The two exchanged dozens of blows. Xian Yanqing's breathing became heavier. Bitch, I'll cripple your cultivation and bring you back to the Jiang family. I'll serve you well. Jiang Taiyou's expression became colder, but the evil fire in his eyes burned brighter. The stronger Xian Yanqing was, the more his desire to possess her was aroused. You won't have that chance. At this moment, an extremely cold voice came from afar. In the distant sky, a spear light pierced through the void, bringing with it a terrifying sonic boom as it stabbed towards Jiang Taiyu. Jiang Taiyou's expression changed. His palm was like a divine sword as he struck out. Clang. His palm collided with the spear light. Jiang Taiyou's expression changed drastically. His body trembled as he frantically retreated. Whoosh. A figure appeared in the void, holding a long spear. His body emitted a bone-chilling murderous intent. Lu Ming had arrived. Lu Ming, you're finally here, Xian Yanqing said softly. Little Qing, are you all right? Lu Ming turned his head and looked at Xian Yanqing. I'm fine. Xian Yanqing shook his head. Haha, Lu Ming, you're here. Your cultivation has improved greatly. Great, let's charge out together. The fatty laughed heartily. Fatty, looks like you won't die yet. Chapter 792. My skin is thick, and I can take a beating. Kong Jin grinned. With Lu Ming here, the 3 of them and Ruan Tingting would be enough to charge out. Lu Ming's eyes swept across Jiang Taiyu and the others. He really wanted to fight with all his might and kill these people. But he also knew that it was more important to bring Ruan Tingting out first. There would be plenty of opportunities to kill Jiang Taiyu, Luan Xiongfei, and the others. Kid, you're Lu Ming? Jiang Taiyou's eyes were cold and sharp. Jiang Taishu, the genius of the Jiang clan, had been killed by Lu Ming in the Heavenly King ranking battle. This news had already spread among the younger generation of the Jiang clan. Jiang Taishu was not an ordinary genius. He had fought his way into the 10 Heavenly Kings in the King realm, but he had suppressed it. He could enter the Sea of Soul realm at any time. Once he entered the Sea of Soul realm, his cultivation would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. He might even awaken the divine bloodline and enter the ranks of the god-grade geniuses. However, he was too ambitious and had been suppressing his cultivation, wanting to take first place on the Heavenly King ranking to increase his foundation. But he had been killed by Lu Ming. The upper echelons of the Jiang clan were furious. Many of the younger generation of the Jiang clan wanted to kill Lu Ming to restore their reputation. That's right. Lu Ming replied coldly. Good, I was just about to look for you. Since you've delivered yourself to me, I'll send you on your way. Jiang Taiyou's voice sounded faintly. In the next moment, his figure flashed and stabbed at Lu Ming like a shadow sword. He was extremely fast and came from a tricky angle. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Without even looking, he swept out his spear. The dazzling spear light emitted a sharp whistle and filled the surroundings. Clang! Jiang Taiyou's figure appeared. His palm struck the spear shaft and bounced back. Then I'll kill you head-on. Jiang Taiyu strolled forward. His entire body was filled with sword intent. He was like a peerless divine sword. Swoosh! His palm struck down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered and stepped forward. He also stretched out his palm and slashed at Jiang Taiyou's palm. At this moment, the eyes of the spectators flashed. Lu Ming was actually using his flesh and blood to fight Jiang Taiyu head-on. Was he not courting death? Everyone knew that the Jiang family cultivated the art of immemorial divine arms. Their physical bodies were like divine arms, indestructible and incomparably sharp. There was nothing they could not break. Even with a spirit weapon, he was unable to block it. Yet, Lu Ming was actually using his body of flesh and blood. At this moment, the members of the Jiang family sneered. They were looking forward to the scene of Lu Ming's palm being cut in half. Clang! Lu Ming's palm collided with Jiang Taiyou's palm. It was as though two spiritual weapons had collided. A sharp aura spread out in all directions. Catcher! Then, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Jiang Taiyou's expression changed drastically. He let out a low roar like an injured wild beast. His body retreated wildly. Everyone's eyes involuntarily fell on Jiang Taiyou's body. To be precise, they were looking at his palm. His palm was bleeding profusely and was severely deformed. However, Lu Ming's palm was not injured at all. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. In a head-on collision, Lu Ming actually had the upper hand and shattered the bones in Jiang Taiyou's palm. How was this possible? Jiang Taiyou was someone who cultivated the art of immemorial divine arms. No one was more shocked than the members of the Jiang family. They knew better than anyone else that Jiang Taiyou's art of immemorial divine arms was extremely profound. He had also comprehended sword intent. His palm strike was extremely sharp, but now Lu Ming had shattered his bones with his flesh and blood. This was a huge blow to their confidence. How is this possible? How is this possible? Jiang Taiyou kept growling. His palm was covered in black light and crackling sounds could be heard. It was rapidly recovering. Charge out, Lu Ming said to Xian Yanqing and the others. Charge. Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin rushed out of the cave with Ruan Tingting. Kill. Lu Ming charged toward Jiang Taiyou. Attack together. Jiang Taiyou let out a long roar. Instantly, another Jiang family's prodigy pounced on Lu Ming. This prodigy was also ranked in the top 500 and was extremely powerful. Luan Tianhao, Luan Xiongfei, and the others charged toward Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin. Lu Ming's aura was wild. He activated the heaven-suppressing hell skill and the true dragon of battle arts and launched a frenzied attack. The members of the Jiang family were like divine weapons. Their limbs were lethal weapons. When facing them, others could only keep a distance. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. However, Lu Ming cultivated the heaven-suppressing hell skill. His limbs were like heavenly monuments that suppressed everything. He was also good at close combat. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming struck out with his palm and kicked out with his leg. His momentum was astonishing. He fought with the two Jiang family geniuses. Rumbling sounds continued. For a moment, he actually suppressed the two Jiang family geniuses. This was shocking. In the past few days, Lu Ming's cultivation and physique had improved. Naturally, his combat strength had also increased. If it was a few days ago, he would not have been able to reach this step. The onlookers in the distance were shocked. Charge out from here. Lu Ming roared. His true yuan surged, and his attacks became more and more violent. Haha, amazing. Watch me. I'll smash you. Dandan stood on Lu Ming's shoulder and laughed. Then, it suddenly jumped out, retracted its limbs into its turtle shell, and smashed toward Jiang Taiyou's face. During this period, Dandan had swallowed a lot of spiritual herbs. It had recovered a little and its aura was stronger. Jiang Taiyou was suddenly attacked by Dandan. He was careless and was smashed in the face by Dandan. Clang! Dandan was bounced back. It shouted, "Nest, you're so thick-skinned. I can't hit you." Jiang Taiyou's body was as tough as a divine weapon, but he was still a little dizzy after being smashed by Dandan. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and kicked Jiang Taiyou, causing him to spit out blood and retreat. They were about to break out of the encirclement. At this moment, a terrifying howl sounded. An extremely sharp aura and cold killing intent enveloped Lu Ming. Danger, extreme danger. Lu Ming felt goosebumps all over his body. In the distance, an arrow like a stream of light shot toward Lu Ming's back. Fast, too fast. Kill. The other prodigy of the Jiang family launched a frenzied attack on Lu Ming. He wanted to stall Lu Ming. Oh no! Lu Ming sensed that the person who shot this arrow was extremely powerful. He was definitely much stronger than Jiang Taiyu and the rest. He did not expect that such a powerful person would launch a sneak attack on them. He had gone all out to deal with Jiang Taiyu and the other man. It was too late for him to dodge. Lu Ming, watch out! Xian Yanqing exclaimed. She was shrouded in the heavenly demon force field. In the force field, her speed was as fast as lightning. In a flash, Xian Yanqing's figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. At this moment, the arrow had already arrived. Xian Yanqing did not even have time to launch a powerful attack. She could only use the power of destruction to rush toward the arrow. Chapter 793. Puff. The arrow pierced through Xian Yanqing's left shoulder, leaving a bloody hole. The powerful inertia caused Xian Yanqing to fly backward. Xiao Qing! Lu Ming roared. He pushed back the Jiang family's prodigy and grabbed Xian Yanqing's slender waist. They landed beside the cave. Fatty, retreat! Lu Ming roared. Kong Jin didn't run far with Ruan Tingting, but at this moment, he roared and rushed back. Xiao Qing, how are you? Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing in his arms and kept injecting his genuine core force to seal Xian Yanqing's wound and stop the blood from flowing out. Fortunately, my vital parts were not hit. I won't die, Xian Yanqing said with a pale face. Now, let's see where you can run to. Jiang Taiyou's face was cold as he stepped forward. Luan Tianhao and the rest also came over and surrounded Lu Ming and the rest. But Lu Ming did not even look at them. His eyes were looking in another direction. A young man in a black iron battle suit with a cold gaze walked over. He exuded a terrifying aura and a strong fighting spirit. Chaotic wind and cloud. It's chaotic wind and cloud. Someone exclaimed in shock. Lu Ming and the others are doomed. The Luan family sent chaotic wind and cloud. Chaotic wind and clouds, ranked 350 on the list of top 1000 talent. The exclamations grew louder and louder. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. This was the person who had sneak attacked him. Fatty, take Tingting and Xiao Qing back to the cave, Lu Ming said. Kong Jin's face was grave as he led Ruan Tingting and Xian Yanqing into the cave. Xian Yanqing sat cross-legged and began to heal his wounds. Although the arrow had hit his vital parts, the will on it was extremely powerful. Xian Yanqing's injuries were not as light as they seemed. Luan Fengyun stepped forward and stood in the air. His indifferent voice rang out, Luan Tianhao, your speed is too slow. This matter has already reached the ears of the Empyrean Imperial Guards. The Empyrean Imperial Guards will soon send people here to bring that girl away. After all, she has obtained the inheritance of Reverend Bluegold. Reverend Bluegold was one of the commanders of the Empyrean Imperial Guards in the past. Luan Tianhao's face changed. What should we do? If the Imperial Sky Guards came, the Luan family would have nothing to do with the family. The Patriarch will think of a way to stall the Di Tian Forbidden Guards for a day. That's why he sent me here to capture this girl and bring her back to the Luan clan, Luan Fengyun said. With that, he looked at Lu Ming and his lips curled into a cold smile. He said in a cold voice, get lost now and you can live. Otherwise, you will die. Wind and clouds, sooner or later, I will kill you. Lu Ming ignored chaotic wind and clouds' words. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Chaotic wind and clouds almost killed Xian Yanqing. No matter who he was, Lu Ming would kill him. Haha. From the moment you said that, you no longer have a chance. I didn't want to make a move and only wanted to take the girl away. Today, I have no choice but to kill you. Chaotic wind and clouds said coldly. He stood in the void, high and mighty. The battle intent on his body was even thicker. The Luan family cultivated the 100 battle technique, a god-tier cultivation technique. They were naturally warlike people. Of course, their battle power was also extremely strong. Boom! Chaotic wind and clouds' aura suddenly exploded. His true energy boiled, making a sound like a tsunami. His aura was like a mountain, pressing down on Lu Ming. The peak of the fourth level of the spiritual sea realm was chaotic wind and clouds' cultivation. The peak of the fourth level of the spiritual sea realm was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. However, chaotic wind and clouds was not an ordinary martial artist. He was a quasi-god tier genius. Lu Ming's true energy was running at full force. There was a faint blue light shining between his eyebrows. Haha, I didn't expect it to be so lively here. Count me in. A loud laugh came from afar. As soon as the voice fell, a blazing aura covered the sky and earth. 2 streaks of flames, dragging long tails, passed through the void and approached in an instant. 2 youthful figures emerged from the void. Wang Haotian. Chaotic wind and clouds' eyes flashed. At this moment, there were cries of surprise from all around. The genius of the Wang family had also arrived. He was also a quasi-god tier genius. Brother Chaotic Wind, the inheritance of venerable blue gold has appeared. It's not nice of your Luan family to monopolize it. Wang Haotian laughed. Do I have to inform the Wang family? Chaotic Wind and Clouds said with a sullen face. Wang Haotian's ranking on the list of top 1,000 talents was only a few places lower than his. His battle power was not inferior to his. It would not be so easy for him to monopolize the god-tier cultivation technique today. It's fine if you don't tell me. We'll have to rely on our own abilities. Wang Haotian laughed. Lu Ming swept his gaze across Wang Haotian and directly skipped over him, landing on a person behind Wang Haotian. Wang Kong. Wang Kong was holding a person in his hand. His face was pale and his breath was weak. Kenfei Ry. The person in Wang Kong's hand was actually Kenfei Ry. Brother Jian, what did you do to him? Lu Ming's eyes were like 2 sharp swords, piercing Wang Kong and Wang Haotian. Are you talking about this useless piece of trash? Wang Haotian smiled faintly. He looked at Jian Feiliu with disdain and said, this brat is so lustful. He actually dared to have an affair with a woman from my Wang clan. Therefore, I crippled him. Lu Ming's face suddenly changed. No wonder Kenfei Ry was so weak. It was obviously because his cultivation had been crippled. Damn it. Lu Ming growled. After this period of time, Lu Ming had already considered Kenfei Ry a true friend. Now, Kenfei Ry's cultivation had been crippled by Wang Haotian. Lu Ming, don't worry about me. I'm a piece of trash. I couldn't even save my junior sister. They killed her. You are beasts, all of you are beast. Junior sister is a married woman, and you still want to reward her to someone else, beast. Kenfei Ry's eyes were red as he growled. Mph, Wang Mang is already dead. Our Wang family doesn't raise people for nothing. Naturally, we have to make the best use of them, Wang Kong said faintly, as if he was talking about something very normal. Lu Ming more or less understood what was going on. Wang Mang was dead, so the Wang family wanted to give Kenfei Ry's junior sister to other Wang family disciples to play with. Kenfei Ry's junior sister probably sent a message to Kenfei Ry for help. That was why Kenfei Ry hurriedly left and came to Nine Dragons City. Naturally, he was discovered later. Jian Feiliu was right, the Wang family was a bunch of beasts. Lu Ming, I heard that you were good friends with this trash, so I brought him here. Hehe, looks like you came at the right time. Wang Haotian laughed. What do you want? Lu Ming asked. Simple. Hand over the token you obtained from the 100 Masters Tower, then hand over the girl who obtained Venerate Bluegold's inheritance. Then, I'll give you this trash. Wang Haotian said with a faint smile on his face. He has the token from the 100 Masters Tower? At the side, Luan Fengyun's eyes flashed with greed. He also needed the 100 Masters Tower's token. I'll use the token to exchange with you, but it's impossible to hand over Tingting. Lu Ming arrived. If he handed over Ruan Tingting, they would definitely strip her soul and turn her into an idiot. Chapter 794. A single token? No, I will make this friend of yours live a life worse than death. A cold light flashed in Wang Haotian's eyes. Lu Ming, don't bother about me. Junior sister is dead, and my cultivation has been destroyed. I'm already a cripple. Don't bother about me, Kenfei Ry shouted. Shut up. Wang Kong grabbed Kenfei Ry's shoulder with his claw. A cracking sound was heard from Kenfei Ry's shoulder as his bones were broken. However, Kenfei Ry just gritted his teeth and didn't say a word. Damn it, these scumbags deserve to die. Kong Jin roared at the entrance of the cave. Keek, Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. A surge of anger rushed to his head, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Kong Jin was right. These people deserved to die. He couldn't wait to rush out and kill them. But now, he had to endure it. Behind him were the injured Xian Yanqing and Ruan Tingting. If he acted rashly, he would only send everyone to their deaths. When Luan Fengyun had just arrived, he had said that the Di Tian Imperial Guard would be here a day later. Perhaps, when the Di Tian Imperial Guard came, things would turn around. Luan Fengyun didn't transmit his voice just now. Perhaps he was too confident and thought that there was no need to hide anything. With him around, it wouldn't take a day to take Ruan Tingting away. However, Lu Ming had to find a way to stall for a day. Lu Ming, I'll ask you one more time. Are you going to exchange or not? Wang Haotian said. Lu Ming clenched his fists, and his eyes were extremely cold. He said in a cold voice, Wang Haotian, Wang Kong, if you dare to touch Kenfei Ry again, I'll kill you. How dare you threaten me? Wang Haotian's face turned cold. He suddenly turned around and pointed his finger. A blast of energy shot out and pierced a big hole in Kenfei Ry's shoulder. Blood dyed Kenfei Ry's clothes red. Boom. Lu Ming's body erupted with a berserk aura. His killing intent was ice cold. No one noticed that Lu Ming's footsteps were slowly moving. Every time he moved, an inscription would sink into the ground. You want to use me to threaten Lu Ming? Dream on. At this moment, Kenfei Ry suddenly roared. A faint red glow emanated from his spine. Not good. Wang Kong's expression changed. No. Lu Ming roared. Bang. At this moment, Kenfei Ry's spine suddenly exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Kenfei Ry had used some kind of secret technique to detonate his own bloodline power. This move was beyond Wang Haotian and Wang Kong's expectations. The self-destruction of one's bloodline power was equivalent to cutting off one's life. Kenfei Ry vomited blood. He looked at Lu Ming and said, Brother Lu, it's my honor to be your friend. However, my junior sister is dead and my cultivation has been destroyed. It's meaningless for me to stay in this world. It's a pity that I won't be able to see the day when Brother Lu rules the world. As he spoke, Kenfei Ry's life force became weaker and weaker. His eyes slowly closed. Then, his life force was extinguished. Kenfei Ry, the proud genius who once dominated Jinsha Island and used the alias King of Hell, who competed with Lu Ming, had died. Although he had not known Lu Ming for long, Kenfei Ry was a sincere person. Lu Ming had already treated him as a good friend. Now, in order to not threaten Lu Ming, he had detonated his own bloodline and died. Lu Ming's aura surged violently. His murderous intent seemed to have solidified. Brother Jian, don't worry. I'll make sure Wang Haotian and Wang Kong accompany you in hell. I'll make sure the rest of the Wang family die sooner or later. His cold and emotionless eyes stared at Wang Haotian and Wang Kong. For some reason, Wang Haotian and Wang Kong felt a chill in their hearts when they saw Lu Ming's eyes. It was as if they were being stared at by the Grim Reaper. Trash. Wang Kong took a deep breath and threw Kenfei Ry's body on the ground. Hee, Wang Haotian, it seems like you've lost your bargaining chip. How about this? Let's kill these guys together and take that girl. Luan Fengyun sneered. I alone am enough to kill them, Wang Haotian said coldly. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Boom. Then, he took a step forward. Today, he must kill Lu Ming. He had a bad feeling in his heart. If Lu Ming didn't die, he would die in Lu Ming's hands sooner or later. It was a terrible feeling. Purple flames burst out from Wang Haotian's body. Terrifying heat burst out, and the air within a radius of dozens of meters was instantly burned clean, creating a vacuum zone. A spear condensed from flames appeared in Wang Haotian's hand. It turned into a ray of light and pierced towards Lu Ming. The blazing flames were still 10 meters away from Lu Ming, but it seemed like they were going to set Lu Ming's clothes and hair on fire. Kill. Lu Ming took a step forward. His true essence erupted. At the same time, 4 different wills surrounded Lu Ming as he struck out with his palm. Dong. The blazing flames spread in all directions. The ground rumbled and cracked. Lu Ming's figure retreated continuously. Every time he took a step back, inscriptions would flash and disappear into the ground when his feet stepped on the ground. Lu Ming exhaled heavily, suppressing the surging qi and blood in his body. He felt a sharp pain in his palm. His palm was a little black. It was burned by the blazing flames. Wang Haotian's battle strength was terrifying. Wang Haotian was also at the peak of the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm. He had cultivated the sky-burning flames incantation to a very deep level. Xiu. Wang Haotian knocked Lu Ming back with one strike. He waved his flaming spear and continued to attack Lu Ming. Peng. Peng. Lu Ming stepped on the ground and quickly moved to one side. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Die. 2 suns appeared in Wang Haotian's eyes as he continued to attack Lu Ming. Dong. Lu Ming struck out with his palm again, colliding with Wang Haotian's. In the rumbling sound, he retreated a dozen steps, blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. This Lu Ming has such strong battle strength. He took 2 of Wang Haotian's attacks in a row. Around them, many people were shocked. Wang Haotian, a quasi-god realm genius, had extremely strong battle strength. Those with higher cultivation than him would be killed by him in a second. But now, Lu Ming's cultivation was 2 levels lower than his, but he could take a few of his attacks without dying. It was terrifying. On the side, Luan Fengyun's eyes flashed. She was also very surprised. Wang Haotian himself was also shocked. This person must die. Otherwise, I may be the one who dies in the future. Wang Haotian roared in his heart. His killing intent grew stronger. Flames appeared above his head, and his bloodline erupted. The flaming spear turned into a terrifying killing weapon, burning the void and attacking Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Buzz. Inscriptions shone on his body. There were inscription formations that could explode true origin, inscription formations that could increase speed, and inscription formations that could increase defense. In an instant, Lu Ming had carved 8 inscription formations for himself. Inscription Master. Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with shock. Kill. Lu Ming shouted and stepped out. Chapter 795. As the inscription formation emerged, 2 swords were condensed and slashed at Wang Haotian. At the same time, Lu Ming also pounced on Wang Haotian. His left palm burst out with a terrifying devouring power, enveloping Wang Haotian, while his right palm pushed out the suppressing hell skill. With the support of 8 inscription formations, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with shock. With a long roar, the spear light turned into a phantom, defeated the 2 swords, and then stabbed at Lu Ming. Dong. This time, the collision was even more shocking than the previous one. Wang Haotian was forced to retreat in the midst of the violent energy. Yes, this time, Wang Haotian was the one who retreated. The sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard from all around. Lu Ming actually repelled Wang Haotian, which was incredible. Wang Haotian took 6 steps back and stood firm. With a look of disbelief in his eyes, he roared, "When did you engrave the inscription formation?" He never expected that Lu Ming was not only extremely powerful in martial arts, but also in the way of inscription. Kill. What responded to him was Lu Ming's cold killing intent. Lu Ming continued to step forward. The inscriptions on the ground appeared, condensing into swords, and slashing at Wang Haotian. At the same time, he also charged at Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian roared and almost turned into a man of fire. His spear moved and collided with Lu Ming again and again. But the result was that Wang Haotian kept retreating. Lu Ming had added 8 formations to himself, and at the same time, he had completely suppressed Wang Haotian with the combination of the inscription formation and the devouring power of the 9 dragons bloodline. Not far away, Luan Fengyun's face was extremely ugly. Just now, he was still high and mighty, thinking that he could suppress Lu Ming at any time and take Wan Tingting away. Now, the facts told him that he was terribly wrong. Wang Haotian's combat strength was definitely not weaker than his. If Wang Haotian was suppressed, did it mean that he would be suppressed too? It was hard for him to accept. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stepped on the ground, and the formation emerged, condensing 8 swords and slashing at Wang Haotian. At the same time, he attacked Wang Haotian with all his might. Wang Haotian was suddenly in danger. Ah! Wang Haotian let out a long roar as his spear pierced through the sky. He turned into a beam of light and soared into the sky, breaking through the attack of the inscription formation. Wang Haotian was defeated. He rushed into the air to avoid Lu Ming's attack. Lu Ming was still unable to inscribe inscription formations in the void. Damn it! The murderous intent in Wang Haotian's eyes burst forth. He wanted nothing more than to grind Lu Ming's bones to dust. He had actually been forced back by Lu Ming and could only flee for his life. Under the watchful eyes of so many people, this was simply a great humiliation. Most importantly, Lu Ming's martial cultivation was 2 levels lower than his. Wang Haotian rushed into the sky, but Lu Ming did not have the slightest intention to stop. He suddenly changed his direction and took a few steps. Inscriptions appeared and condensed into a long spear, stabbing at Wang Kong like lightning. At the same time, Lu Ming took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of Wang Kong, striking out with his palm. Wang Kong turned pale with fright. This process happened too quickly. Wang Haotian fled, and Lu Ming took the opportunity to change direction and attack him. It happened almost instantaneously, and he did not expect it at all. He roared in horror and burst out with all his strength to resist. Bang! The long spear condensed by the formation was sent flying by Wang Kong, but in the next moment, Lu Ming arrived. A terrible devouring power shrouded Wang Kong, blocking his bloodline power and weakening his combat strength. At the same time, Lu Ming's palm struck toward him. Bang! All of Wang Kong's defenses were shattered under Lu Ming's palm. Lu Ming's palm struck Wang Kong's chest heavily. Wang Kong's eyes instantly popped out, and there was disbelief and unwillingness in his eyes. No! A shrill scream came out of Wang Kong's mouth, and in the next moment, his body was torn apart. Lu Ming took another step, and his true ether wrapped around Ken Fei Rys' body. In a flash, he appeared at the edge of the cave. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. It was too fast. Wang Haotian fled and rushed into the sky. Lu Ming changed his direction and attacked Wang Kong, taking Ken Fei Ry and appearing at the entrance of the cave. All of this happened in 1 or 2 breaths. Many people did not even have time to react. When Lu Ming appeared at the entrance of the cave, everyone then came to their senses and gasped one after another. Wang Kong was killed. He was killed in an instant. Was this Lu Ming's combat strength? It was too terrifying when he used all of his combat strength. A genius like Wang Kong could not resist at all. Hey! This kid is not completely dead yet, Dandan, who was on Lu Ming's shoulder, suddenly said. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and his eyes lit up. He said, Dandan, what do you mean? What do you mean by not completely dead yet? This kid seems to be dead on the surface, but in fact, he still has a glimmer of life. His cultivation was destroyed, and he used a method to self-destruct the power of his bloodline. But after all, without cultivation, it is difficult for him to fully control the power of his bloodline. So, there is still a glimmer of life. As long as his bloodline power is restored, this kid may be resurrected. Dandan explained. Really? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Yes, now I'll inscribe an inscription formation to lock this kid's glimmer of life. The rest is up to you. After saying that, Dandan flew into the cave with Ken Fei Ry and began to inscribe the formation. He talked to Dandan through voice transmission, and no one else heard it. Damn it, Lu Ming, how dare you kill the genius of the Wang family? You're dead meat. Wang Haotian roared in the sky. Come down and fight me if you dare. Lu Ming glanced at Wang Haotian with contempt. Wang Haotian's face turned pale, and then it turned pale. He didn't dare to go down. Wang Haotian, let's work together. It's more important to get the inheritance of Supremacy Lan Jin. In less than a day, the Di Tian Imperial Guards will be here. Luan Fengyun said. Okay, let's work together. Wang Haotian nodded. Everyone, let's attack together and kill this man. Luan Fengyun waved his hand. Let's attack together. Jiang Taiyu also roared. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hands rapidly, and countless inscriptions sank into the ground. Attack, don't give him time to inscribe the inscription formation. Wang Haotian roared and took the lead to attack Lu Ming. At the same time, Luan Fengyun also moved. A big bow appeared in his hand, and an arrow was shot at Lu Ming. The arrow was like a stream of light, piercing through the void and making a terrifying sonic boom. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming stomped his feet on the ground, and arrays appeared one after another. Some were offensive, and some were defensive. A few ancient shields appeared in front of Lu Ming, but they were easily pierced through. The arrow was aimed at Lu Ming's glabella. The infinite dragon spear appeared, and the spear collided with the arrow. Lu Ming felt his arm go numb, and he took 3 steps back. Luan Fengyun's arrow was too powerful. Chapter 796. After blocking Luan Fengyun's arrow, Lu Ming couldn't unleash his full power. This move could only tie with Wang Haotian. Both of their bodies trembled as they took a step back. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, Luan Fengyun's arrow arrived again. This time, it was a chain of arrows. 7 arrows were shot in a row. At the same time, Jiang Taiyu, Luan Tianhao, and the others also arrived. Jiang family, Luan family, and Wang Haotian, a total of 8 geniuses, plus a dozen 5th-layer spiritual ocean realm experts, all attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'll help you. Kong Jin shouted. Fatty, guard the cave entrance. Don't come out. Lu Ming shouted. Now, the cave was full of injured people. If Fatty came out and was killed by the others, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ah! Fatty shouted. He was furious, but he also knew that he could only guard. At this moment, Lu Ming waved his hand, and a few giant creatures appeared in front of him. 2 giant snake puppets and a cheetah puppet. The 3 puppets were equivalent to the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean realm. When he was in the underground world, he annihilated the Yin snake tribe and seized a large number of puppets. Lu Ming asked Kai Jinkong for some puppets in case he needed them. Now, he could finally use them. The 2 giant snake puppets rushed toward Jiang Taiyu and the others fearlessly. Puppets were invulnerable and had great strength. They were best used for defense. The cheetah puppet rushed into the sky and rushed toward the arrows shot by Luan Fengyun. Dong! Dong! A series of explosions sounded. The cheetah puppet, which was equivalent to the 4th layer of the spiritual ocean realm, was hit by 7 arrows and exploded. This was also the reason why Lu Ming's spirit fire was so huge. Normal inscribers had to use all their strength to control a puppet of the same level. However, Lu Ming was perfect at every stage. With 10 spirit lamps lit, how powerful was his spirit fire? Not only could he control puppets above his level, but he could also control several puppets at the same time. Bang! Lu Ming, on the other hand, unleashed his full strength and sent Wang Haotian flying with a palm strike. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming's hands once again danced wildly, and inscriptions sank into the ground. Kill! High up in the sky, Luan Fengyun shouted. His killing intent surged like a tide as arrows continuously shot down. Lu Ming waved his hand, and another puppet appeared. It flew into the air and exploded under the arrows. As for him, he seized the time to inscribe the inscriptions. On the other side, the 2 giant snake puppets exploded under the attacks of Jiang Taiyu and the others. However, with a wave of Lu Ming's hand, several more puppets appeared and rushed towards Jiang Taiyu and the others. At that moment, Wang Haotian arrived. The more they fought, the more shocked Wang Haotian became. His desire to kill Lu Ming grew stronger and stronger. Lu Ming had no choice but to stop inscribing inscriptions and fight Wang Haotian. The genuine ether burst inscription he had inscribed on himself would not last long. If the effect of the inscription array wore off, he would be even more passive. Whoosh, whoosh. In the sky, more arrows were shot down. This time, the arrows could actually turn, avoiding the puppets and shooting towards Lu Ming. You want to stop me with a mere puppet? Dream on. Luan Fengyun's eyes were like lightning. Lu Ming exerted all his strength, but the cooperation of Luan Fengyun and Wang Haotian was too strong. Lu Ming was forced to retreat. What he feared most was Luan Fengyun's arrows. They were impossible to guard against, and their attack power was terrifying. They could kill people from 100 miles away. If Luan Fengyun was alone, he could naturally avoid them, close the distance between them, and defeat him. However, there was also Wang Haotian. Lu Ming's current state, even with the help of the inscription array, could barely suppress Wang Haotian. At this moment, he was in a passive position. Lu Ming, I'll help you, Kong Jin shouted. Standing at the entrance of the cave, the battle axe in his hand flew out and danced in the air, helping Lu Ming block Luan Fengyun's arrows. Clang, clang. The battle axe blocked several of Luan Fengyun's arrows, and then flew back. Then, the fatty threw the battle axe out again, this time at Wang Haotian. Wang Haotian punched the battle axe back. Buzz. At this moment, a powerful force field enveloped an area with a radius of hundreds of meters. Xian Yanqing was also standing at the entrance of the cave, behind the fatty. Although Xian Yanqing's face was still a little pale, his injuries had basically stabilized. Destruction cut. In Xian Yanqing's Sky Demon force field, Luan Fengyun's arrows were greatly weakened, and it was much easier to defend against them. Jiang Taiyu and the others were also suppressed by the Sky Demon force field. Lu Ming's pressure was reduced a little. Lu Ming, I'll help you too. Dandan flew out and stood on Lu Ming's shoulder. Brother Jian, how is it? Lu Ming asked. I've temporarily locked his vitality with an inscription formation. It's up to you guys now, Dandan said. Then, Dandan retracted its limbs into its turtle shell and flew forward. An arrow hit Dandan's turtle shell, and sparks flew everywhere, but the arrow was also knocked off course by Dandan. Dandan flew back to Lu Ming's shoulder and shouted, You want to shoot through my invincible defense? Little brat, you're still 1,000 miles away. Luan Fengyun's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She shot 9 consecutive arrows, one after another, forming a straight line. In an instant, they traversed thousands of meters in the air, pierced through the obstruction of the heavenly demon force field, and shot toward Lu Ming. Watch me. Dandan flew out and blocked the arrows with its turtle shell. Clang. Dandan was sent flying, but the continuous stream of arrows were knocked off their course. With a scream, a young man in the 5th layer of the spirit sea realm of the Luan family was shot through by an arrow and died on the spot. Ha, I said, you're still far from breaking through my defense, little brat. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming exchanged a move with Wang Haotian and continued to inscribe inscriptions. At this time, Jiang Taiyu and the others had already rushed over. Lu Ming had already lost more than a dozen powerful puppets. Now, Lu Ming no longer had any puppets in his hands. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming took a few steps, and formations appeared, forming sabers, giant swords, spears, and so on, attacking Jiang Taiyu and the others. And Lu Ming continued to inscribe formations. Just like this, Lu Ming, Fatty, Xian Yanqing, and Dandan worked together, fighting while inscribing inscriptions. It lasted for more than 10 minutes. It's done. Lu Ming waved his hands, and as the last inscription sank into the ground, Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. Bang! As Lu Ming took a heavy step, dense inscriptions appeared on the ground. Then, a light curtain rose up, enveloping Lu Ming and the others. In the light curtain, endless sword chi condensed and attacked Jiang Taiyu and the others. Not good, this is a 6th level top killing formation. Jiang Taiyu and the others roared in horror and retreated frantically. Whoosh! Whoosh! In the formation, sword chi was rampant, and in an instant, several young men in the 5th layer of the spirit sea realm were killed. Jiang Taiyu, Luan Tianhao, and the others desperately rushed out of the range of the formation. In the sky, Luan Tianhao shot arrows continuously, but in the formation, they were defeated by the dense sword Qi. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.